Hello everyone and welcome back to another drawing prompt. And today's prompts are Mythical Beast and Spooky Tree. And I'm going to admit I absolutely love these prompts. These are totally up my street and I cannot wait to get started. So let's do it immediately. So to begin with, I did feel a little bit rusty starting these prompts. However, I did look up a few references beforehand, and as soon as I did, I got straight into it. So the first mythical beast I went for was the Loch Ness Monster. I kind of went for this really cutesy style with big bulging black eyes and scales along his belly, and I think he turned out really cute, to be honest. Initially, I thought he looked a bit too much like a snake, so I added a bit of seaweed in his mouth and then decided to add some water ripples around his neckline. And then after that I thought I'd move on to something a bit less traditional, and I kind of saw a creature like this online and thought it would be cool to make my own. So they look like these little masked creatures. They're kind of furry and they're creepy, but they're kind of cute. And to be honest, it probably is something from folklore or from a mythical story, but I just don't know what it is. And I thought one day it would maybe be cute to make this into a little fabric creature, or actually hand sew it or sculpt it at some point. After that, I decided to draw one of my most favourite mythical beasts, and that is a jackalope. So these are mythical animals of North American folklore. They're described as a jackrabbit with antelope horns, and the reason I like these so much is because they look so real that you could actually mistake this as a real thing. Like if you didn't know that they were fake and you saw a picture of these or a story about these, you'd probably think, yeah, they probably existed at some point, maybe, you know, like the dinosaurs, like they probably existed. That sounds really bad. That sounds like I don't believe in dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are real, but what I mean is jackalopes could definitely pass as something that did exist, so it's easy to trick people into thinking that they did exist. And I actually saw a stuffed fake sculpture of one of these inside an Icelandic pub, and it was great. I tricked my boyfriend into believing they were real. Because apparently loads of taxidermists like to turn these into mounts, so they'll use deer antlers mixed with a stuffed rabbit or hare. And also they've appeared in like lots of stories, poems, television shows, video games, etc, 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 in even low budget mockumentary film. And I don't know, I just think they're really cool and they're super cute, and also they're in Dungeons and Dragons, so that's always a plus. And the last thing I decided to sketch, because I was inspired by the jackalope, was a Wendigo. And a Wendigo is a mythological creature or evil spirit from folklore from the First Nations Algonquin tribe, I think. I can't say it, to be honest. But basically from a tribe based in the forests of Nova Scotia, the east coast of Canada and the Great Lakes. And the Wendigo is described as a monster with some characteristics of a human, or as a spirit who has possessed a human being and made them become monstrous. And the influence of such is said to invoke acts of murder, insatiable greed, cannibalism, and the cultural taboo against such behaviours. And all the ones that I've seen in pop culture and media and video games, they've all worn antler heads. And I don't know if that's actually a thing, but in most recent years it's been depicted as that. And the creature lends its name to the controversial modern medical term Wendigo psychosis, described by psychiatrists as a culture-bound syndrome with symptoms such as an intense craving for human flesh and the fear of becoming a cannibal. And there is a brief description on Wikipedia that a Wendigo is gaunt to the point of emaciation, its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash grey of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets. So basically more like a skeleton type person, but all the ones that I've seen in video games and such have been wearing antlers and skulls. So that's what I decided to draw, because that's what I was inspired by. And to be honest, I was quite happy with this page, so I moved on to the next one, which is Spooky Tree. And for Spooky Tree, I thought it's just basically going to be a tree. So I thought there's no point in drawing out a whole tree, all the branches, all the leaves. We all know what a tree looks like. So for this page, I decided to focus mainly on the face and on the facial features, the facial expressions, just the face, how a spooky tree's face would look. because every spooky tree needs a face. I also decided to chuck in a few hand drawings because I'm terrible at hands. So branch-like tree hands, I really wanted to practice too, so I did. And it worked out alright, and then I just decided again just to focus on the faces. Faces are my favourite thing to draw anyway. But I did focus a bit more on the expression, on the evilness and the sadness of a spooky tree. So again, using my uni pin fine liners, I just went over those rough sketches just to make them a bit more pronounced, and also to practice my inking skills, because I would like to get better at that eventually. And also because my whole book is now inked, I feel like I have to ink the whole book as I go, so it's all uniform and looks really nice when it's finished. I initially did it because you actually couldn't see the sketching or the pencil lines on the paper, but I figured out the lighter settings now, so you can kind of see them. But I think it's good to practice inking, so we're gonna do it. So for the final piece, I actually decided to change it up this week with a bit of digital drawing. I actually recently got an iPad and Procreate, and I thought, why not? Let's try it. I did actually initially try and paint. The idea was to paint an owlbear on a tree branch with a spooky face, and I actually did a little bit of it with gouache, and then I absolutely hated it. I tore it up. It was terrible. It's the worst thing I've painted in weeks, so I was not happy with that at all. So I looked at my iPad and was like, yeah, sod it, let's try and digital paint. I'm actually doing a small course online, and it's so far really, really good. It's taught me a few things, and I am enjoying it. It's just a lot to get your head around when you are a traditional painter or drawer, or someone who draws traditionally or has been forever, to now jump into this brand new medium. It's scary and daunting, but I'm starting to like it, to be honest, and it's growing on me. It's a very slow process for me, but I like it. And I really hope to get better at it eventually too. As you can see in the sketches, it took me a very long time to figure out what I was actually doing. I was mainly just playing around with lines, playing around with what I actually wanted to do. I know I wanted to draw a jackalope because they're my favourite. The horns were really, really confusing. That took me such a long time to figure out how to draw them. I was looking at loads of references, but I just couldn't get it right, so I just kind of pushed it to one side. As you can see, I just leave it to the left and gave it a break because it was winding me up, to be honest, and decided to focus on the tree because I really like drawing trees. An element of our course was actually to learn to draw a tree, and I will admit my first tree was better. This tree isn't as good as the first one because I'm not doing it step by step. I'm doing what we learned from memory. But I think it's okay. I think if I kept going and going and going, it would have looked like epic, but I spent a good few hours doing this prompt because of the sketching, because of the first initial owlbear drawing, and then because of this, I basically spent all day on this prompt. I tried out a couple of leaf brushes. The first one, I actually went quite far into the drawing with it, but towards the end I could tell I wasn't liking it at all, so I decided to get rid of that entirely and then go back in with a different brush, which I think works way, way better, as you can see. I really, really like the moss that I put around base of the tree. I wanted it to look really old and decrepit and more spooky looking. I really love the face of the tree as well. I just really like the colours and the shape of the eyes and the mouth and his little tooth. I think that looks adorable. And he's just looking down at the jackalope, who's just kind of sitting there, chilling out. To be honest, I'm not too happy with the way he's placed. He just kind of looks like he's just sitting there. I think I could have improved that a bit. I did have a play around with all the colours and the background. The grassy floor, I really love the grassy floor. The space background, not so much. It's alright. I think it's because I'm not so confident in my own art that I'm just like, meh, I've seen better. But maybe let me know what you guys think. I also last minute decided to add a baby jackalope right next to the original jackalope, just because I thought, why would this jackalope just be sitting there, like, on his own? Why next to a spooky tree, like, why? And I was thinking maybe if we add a baby one, that's why. Maybe the baby one's just been born, maybe it can't travel as far. Maybe there's danger out in the field, so he has to stay there for the night. That's why he's there. Anyway, I feel like I've talked for way too long, and I'm just gonna now let you enjoy the painting, or whatever's left, and thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you want, and I'll see you next one. Bye!